In your Son Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Please rise for the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Council, I need a motion on the work session minutes for September the 15th.
Move to adopt.
Have a motion to adopt. All in favor, raise your hand.
Unanimous.
Need a motion on the regular council meeting minutes for the 15th of September.
Move to adopt.
All in favor, raise your hand.
Unanimous.
Mr. Mayor, you're up.
Thank you so much.
His mic's not on.
Is my mic on? I pushed it.
It's on.
Can you hear me?
The red's on.
Normally, we don't have this problem.
There you are. There you are.
Super. Great. I hope at some point tonight or at the next council meeting, we appropriately acknowledge and thank those that have served with great distinction over the last 4 years. You know, election cycles come and go, and there are some people that get elected and some people that do not. But from a personal standpoint, CC, and John, and certainly Charles have been a great pleasure for the mayor's office, for me personally, to work with, and we'll wish you great success, and we would expect to see you again sometimes along the way, and we can do something a little more formal. I had the opportunity, along with Elton Dean, last week to make about a 35-minute presentation about the state of the city and some things that we're proud of. I also had an opportunity in the last 3 or 4 days to make one relative to the city to a chamber group. And so I've wanted to take the opportunity tonight to briefly recap, not a 30-minute, recap some of the things that have occurred over the last year so that we could go into not only the next fiscal year, but the next 4 years with great hope and great expectation. And I say that because if you see the picture that's on the slide there, the one that's there, go back. That's the group that has led the team. Certainly our department heads and our cabinet members and our 2,500 employees have brought us to where we are today, but that is the elected leadership of our city, and I wanted to make sure that everyone understands that it is a partnership. Next slide. If you will notice the high water mark at 98 million, that was in the 07 fiscal year, crashing down to 83.7 in the 09 period of time when there was a special election and Charlie Jenwright left the office, and yours truly took it over. And the steady climb that we have had over the last 5 years that got us to, for the first time in the history of our city, crashing through the 100 million mark in sales tax revenues. We were up almost 5% this past year, and you will see a lot more of that over the next 30 or 60 days as we close our books. Our expenses still are being posted, but we will, in fact, have something in the expected range that we talked about last month. Next slide. Next slide, please. This is the lodging tax collection. Dawn Hathcock and the Convention and Visitors Bureau. From 13 to 14, there was a rate adjustment, but from 14 to 15, there was not. $8.2 to $9 million. That represents an $11 million increase in taxation from the lodging tax. On any one given day in Montgomery, we'll have about $1.2 million to $1.3 million in expenses, purchases by those that are traveling and that are staying in our hotels. Next slide. You missed the go back one. This is the construction permit valuation. This shows you what will happen over the next 12 to 15 months in our city. When you take a permit out for construction, there is a total construction value, and you can see that it was 182 last year, it's 271 this year, almost a 50% increase, and these are 8, 10, 12, 15-month projects. So you see that for at least the next year plus, we will have good revenues coming from constructions. You can go forward now. I will tell you on the lodging tax side of the equation that we, again, for a third year in a row, lead the state in the total occupancy levels. The downtown is at the 75% occupancy level, and the Chantilly, that area around East Chase, is at 76%. This is the rendering of the Montgomery Justice Center that we broke ground on about 60 days ago along Madison Avenue. We would expect to be occupying that the latter part of next summer. Next slide. This is the rendering of the new lamp at one center. That lamp goes where the Parisian Center, Parisian store previously was. This is part of that $27 million bond issue that the city, the county, and the state put forward about 6 months ago to build that particular facility, along with the next one. Next slide. This actually shows the land use out there. You see the baseball fields and some of the soccer fields that will be surrounding the new lamp. Next slide. This is what impact will look like. The old pennies. These are renderings that were made available to us last Wednesday, I think it was. It's the first opportunity other than when I showed them at the Economic Forum. This is what impact's going to look like. This is where all of the technology will come together for the Board of Education, the two-year schools, AIDT, ATN, will all be housed in here. Great efficiency and training both for students as well as new companies coming to town, as well as retraining and training for expansion of existing industries. Next slide. This is what the interior will look like. That will also, those contracts probably are going to be awarded in the November, December time frame. And I think they're saying still in August of 16, but that will never happen. I think it's more like January of 17 where both of those facilities will be utilized. Next slide. This is Park Crossing. You'll see in the rear, the brown is the new sports facility, and also a new pod for classrooms. If you go to the next slide, you'll see the two brown shows you the new facilities. The one on the left is the class, and the one in the center is, in fact, the athletic facility. These are the three big projects that we have funded along with the county and the Board of Education. Next slide. Unemployment rate, this is not seasonally adjusted, which would take anywhere from 2 to 4 points per 0.2 to 0.4 off, so it's right around 6%, but you can see it came from a high of 9.9 in 11. If you went back to 8 and 9, you'd be up in the 11.5 at 12%. But if you'll go to the next slide, you'll see what the real winner is, that we have those many more people that are actually employed in the work, from a low of 155.7 up to 161.5. Next slide. These are economic development projects that we have accomplished through Ellen McNair and her team at the Chamber. Year to date, 19 companies have expanded, 1,249 jobs, 116 million in capital. That's through the first 3 quarters, and we actually have 1 quarter to go. I know we've got 1 that we'll announce, and perhaps even 2 that'll get those numbers up a bit. Last 5 years, 7,300 jobs. And the current projects that we're working, as a matter of fact, we got in 2 just last week, Ellen told me. We're working with 64 companies, $1.4 billion in capital, and 640 jobs. Certainly we won't get all of those, but if we get 20 to 30% of those, we'll have another good year in 2016. Next slide. This is something that's kind of been under the radar screen, but we've announced already the signing of the agreement removing us from the potential Superfund site list and the transfer of the regulatory agency to ADM. And we have a contract with ADM, with the Downtown Alliance, to move forward here. I want to give great credit to Kim Fell, who has been at the helm of driving this, and the county, as well as some private entities, particularly the Water and Sewer Board, have been right with us there. The state has been there. This is a really good move for us. It gets us off of the Superfund site list potential, and it gives us opportunity to do something that really has only been done very, very infrequently in the Southeast. Next slide. This is the one that I always kind of end with. Our business confidence index is the third quarter of this year. 16 out of the last 20 quarters, last 6 quarters, we lead the state in business confidence index. What this simply is the University of Alabama, in the blind, anonymously, surveys businesses and business owners and heads of industry in the area here, and they give a positive, negative rating in various categories, and they assimilate that. And as you can see, we are leading by a good measure over the closest, which would be Huntsville along the way. This gives us great hope and great expectation as we go forward. I think that may be the last of the slides. This is the one that it's actually the sunset, but I call it the sunrise because we're flying off into the future. The future is very bright, and with the leadership team that we will continue to work with, and the fact that we've got expanding revenues, not dramatically, but a 3 or 4% steady increase will give us the wherewithal to do some of the things that we actually need to do. At some future meeting, probably either on the 10th or after that, we'll talk about what at least the mayor's office and what the cabinet members have in mind as for projects and for new initiatives, because that process is in place right now. All organizations are working strategically and operationally to come with those, and we'll start meeting in the October and November time frame, and sometime mid to late November we will put those together and bring those to you for information. So that's the presentation, the state of the city as we go forward. There was a wonderful event 30 days ago that this council and the mayor's office helped fund. Natalie Magruder has been in front of you on a number of occasions, but she had that opportunity to have Peace Within MGM. It was well attended, organized, attended in the fact that it was an invitation only. I got to spend an hour and a half with them, and I was very, very impressed. And Natalie is here today to show you a short video and also to give you the results, and she has some printed material. Natalie, we thank you and we congratulate you on the great success that you had with Peace with MGM.
Thank you. Thank you. I don't know if this is on. Oh, thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you to all of you for your generous contribution. And we have a little bit of a video that hopefully we can get to play, but otherwise I've given you a report that synthesized the feedback from what young people said. And so we had about 100 participants at Peace Within MGM, and 37 of those were our high school students. And we had a very diverse group of high school students, not just our magnet school, although LAMP was very well represented, and we have a student here from LAMP, Deja Chappelle, who's going to speak very briefly. But we also had many students from Carver, from JD, Lee, BTW, Brewtech, and other high schools. And so they all had a very large diversity of opinion about what they want for their city, about what the problems are. And so I hope that you'll take the time after this short presentation to see what young people are saying, to think about what the solutions are according to them, and for us to honor that and take this further and think collaboratively about what we can do with this information and how we can build on what the voices of our youth are saying about our future.
Brand new VMK program.
All right, so you may want to see the rest of that video, and I hope that it aroused you enough to want to find out more, to read the report, to look at the video in its totality. And we're going to have a longer video that's going to capture more of the dialogue and the discussion that came out of the small group tables. But just very quickly, because you have a very long agenda today, I wanted you to get that snippet to see the quality of the art, and not just the art, but the discussion and the feedback that we got from young people. And I do have a few of the artists who did the pieces that kind of synthesized what came out of that today. So we had Winfred Hawkins, and I'm not sure if Bill Ford is here, but we have, okay, Bill Ford and Winfred, and then Robin Birdwell did these 3 pieces, and I'm gonna turn them around so that you all can see them. So just to keep it quick, some of the main things that came out of this is that young people talked about transportation. They talked about wanting to be able to get around their city and have the same thing that a lot of other cities do, where there's a vibrant street culture, where there's arts, and they talked about having an art district, actually, where performers and up-and-coming people could have a job, so not just to perform for free, but that they could actually look at it as a profession. They also talked about what we need to do in terms of compassion and building neighborhoods that are strong, and how do we do that, you know? And they talked a lot about our problems being primarily social, is what they identified. So they broke problems down into political, economic, and social, but by their estimation, it was the social problems that they thought were the most serious and the ones that we should spend the most time on. So a lot of the solutions that they gave had to do with valuing oneself, self-respect, respecting others, and building the type of community where people can grow those type of skills. So a lot of it was soft skills, you know, it was about how do we love each other, how do we treat each other. Some young people mentioned social media as something that can cause bullying and other types of behavior that they don't appreciate. So they wanted to talk about how can we use some of these things like technology, like community centers, to do better for ourselves and to do better for our city. So if Bill and Winfred want to say anything quickly about their piece, and then I think we'll end it. Yep.
Well, one thing that I noticed about my piece is it's a bit unusual, which is just part of what we have to do as a city. I feel we have to do something unusual to propel it forward. The kids had a lot of great ideas, some of which was the transportation, how they get around the city, access to good buses, and making the city walkable. So I demonstrated that by having the bus system up there, and I pulled a lot of various buildings together to create one unit, one city that's together, is not so spread out and divided against itself. The other thing that they talked about a lot was the school system and how they felt neglected a lot, specifically with how the quality and the state of what the buildings are, and not being able to take textbooks home, and not having even a program to where they can access that same material online or what have you. Other issues were consulting shopping and access to good foods, not always like junk food all the time, and also not as many chain stores, like more local branded items that it will make Montgomery unique. So that's basically my piece, and there's also like hands lifting up the city, because as Angela mentioned, we did talk a lot about unity, coming together, and it's not about like race and all those other things that, you know, Montgomery has a history of, but how we can come together to build a better city.
I just wanted to address my piece. At the conference, one of the exercises they had us do was everybody at the table had to speak to what would if you were a superhero, what would your power be that would foster peace and tranquility and cooperation in the city? And as an old comic book fan, that was right down my alley. And so I just did a piece that it suggested itself as the Peace Patrol. And I was especially impressed with the young lady from LAMP, Deja Chappelle, the speaker. She said her superpower would be using her articulation to appeal to people and persuade them to foster peace and understanding. And so my piece just addresses that. So thank you.
Very good. Wonderful.
So thank you so much for your time. I think that you'll see that we had a lot of rich discussion that came out of this, and I'd like to see us take it further and not just stop here, but really use it and figure out how we can incorporate it in our city's programs and some of the things that we'd like to see happen.
Thank you,
Thanks,
Natalie.
Just to share with Natalie and with the City Council, that information that was assimilated at that meeting will be part and parcel of our strategic plans and operational plans and function as we go forward. And we've already started talking about reorganizing how our city looks so that we can sort of address some of those issues that you talked about. So thank you for that. And I think we'll just go ahead and I'll yield that to my balance of time.
Okay, just a second, I'd like to say something, Mayor. Is Chief Jordan here? Okay, I just want to say something about the fire department.
Well, come on up here, Fire Department.
I attended a funeral on Saturday, and the way our fire department represents itself and honors your retirees is a great message for the city of Montgomery. I mean, I can't tell you how many good comments I got at that funeral about how good it is to be a part of a city that has a fire department like that. I just want to thank you personally for what you do. And I understand there's a lot more of it there, but I don't think that that's the first time I'd seen it. And I just want to say thank you for what you do. Your men looks great, and the folks from all over the state that were there for that funeral were super impressed with the Montgomery Fire Department and Montgomery. Thank you.
We appreciate your support, and I think it's you guys that have encouraged us to make people count as opposed to counting people. So.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Great idea. I'll just put a plug in for the 23rd and 24th. We have the Fire Combat Challenge here. If you really want to get excited and see the toughest 2 minutes in sports, it's going to be starting early in the week, but sort of about 3 o'clock or 2 or 3 o'clock on Friday, and then Saturday morning. It'll be an exciting time. And also we're having the Top Chef cook-off, and if you come, you'll be able to participate by eating a lot of the food that's been prepared. So come on out on the 23rd and 24th.
Okay, thank you. Any special committee reports today, Council? Madam Clerk?
Mr. President, item 1, hearing on proposed ordinance rezoning 3 lots located at 8436, 8448, and 8449 Crossland Loop from an O1 district to a B3Q district.
Mr. Tyson?
Mr. President, the Planning Commission recommended the rezoning of these properties to B3 qualify.
This is a public hearing. If anybody would like to speak against this item, please come forward. Seeing none, I declare the public hearing has been held. It's part of the council.
Move for approval.
Have a motion to adopt. All in favor, raise your hand.
Unanimous.
Very
Ordinance
good.
is adopted.
Thank you, Tom.
Council, I have put before you the certified election results from the runoff election. The first resolution is certifying the results of the election, and the council determines as follows. For Council District 2, Brantley Lyons received the majority of the votes cast for District 2. District 4, David Burkett received a majority of the votes. For District 5, William A. Green Jr. received a majority of the votes cast. And for District 6, Fred Bell received a majority of the votes cast.
Need a motion to suspend the rules.
Move to suspend the rules.
All in favor, raise your hand.
Unanimous?
Motion to adopt.
All in favor, raise your hand.
Unanimous. Resolution is adopted. Next before you is resolution issuing certificate of election to Brantley Lyons for District 2.
Need a motion to suspend the
Move to
rules.
suspend the rules.
All in favor, raise your hand.
Unanimous?
Move to adopt.
All in favor, raise your hand.
Unanimous. Resolution is adopted. Next is a resolution issuing certificate of election to David Burkett for District 4.
Move to suspend the rules.
All in favor, raise your hand.
Unanimous.
Move to adopt.
All in favor, raise your hand.
Unanimous. Resolution is adopted. Next is resolution issuing certificate of election to William A. Green Jr. for District 5.
Move to suspend the rules.
All in favor, raise your hand.
Unanimous.
Move to adopt.
All in favor, raise your hand.
Unanimous. Resolution is adopted. And finally, resolution issuing certificate of election to Fred F. Bell for District 6.
Motion to suspend the rule.
All in favor, raise your hand.
Unanimous.
Motion to adopt.
All in favor, raise your hand.
Unanimous. Resolution is adopted.
Okay.
Item 3, ordinance canceling the October 20th, 2015 council meeting.
Need a motion.
Move to suspend the rules.
All in favor, raise your hand.
Unanimous.
Move to adopt.
All in favor, raise your hand.
Unanimous. Ordinance is adopted. Item 4, ordinance authorizing the issuance and making provision for the payment of $10 million revolving credit promissory note series 2015.
Need a motion.
Move to suspend the rules.
All in favor, raise your hand.
Unanimous.
Move to adopt.
All in favor, raise your hand.
Unanimous. Ordinance is adopted. Item 5, ordinance repealing ordinance number 45-2015 and authorizing the disposition of real property on Amanda Lane and Amanda Loop.
Mr. Smith?
Yes, sir. This is a new ordinance required by the County Probate Office correcting 6 legal description errors on 6 out of the 15 parcels from the previous resolution. Once this deeding and recording are complete, the rehabilitation construction will start. We've got an agreement between the City of Montgomery and Community Action Partnership of North Alabama to basically rehab 13 out of the 15 units using $800,000 in HUD, neighborhood stabilization funds, and $481,000 in private, nonprofit, private developer funds, totaling $1.2 million, and the units will be rented out to HUD income eligible persons.
Okay. I need a motion to suspend the rules.
Mr. President, move to suspend the rules.
All in favor, raise your hand.
Unanimous.
Move to adopt.
All in favor, raise your hand.
Unanimous. Ordinance is adopted.
Thank you.
Item 6, resolution authorizing Mayor Strange to make application to the Alabama State Council on the Arts for a visual arts grant for Chisholm Boys and Girls Club for $5,790.
Need a motion? Suspend the rules.
Move to suspend the rules.
All in favor, raise your hand.
Unanimous.
Move to adopt.
All in favor, raise your hand.
Unanimous. Resolution is adopted. Item 7, resolution approving a business license for Marcel Harris doing business as Harris Paint and Body at 1131 Coliseum Boulevard.
Move to suspend the rules.
All in favor, raise your hand.
Unanimous.
Move to adopt.
All in favor, raise your hand.
Unanimous. Resolution is adopted. Item 8, items 9 and 10 are in compliance and withdrawn. Item 11, application for a restaurant retail liquor license by MGM Kobe Inc., doing business as Kobe Japanese Steakhouse and Sushi Bar, 7760 East Chase Parkway.
You Representative Kobe,
Yes,
your name for the record, please.
Dan Baker, project
Dan?
manager for Kobe.
Yes, sir. This is a public hearing. Anyone would like to speak against this item, please come forward. Seeing none, declare the public hearing has been held. Proper before the council. Need a motion?
Move to suspend the rules.
All in favor, raise your hand.
Unanimous.
Move for approval.
All in favor, raise your hand.
Unanimous. Resolution is adopted.
When do you open up?
Hopefully mid-November.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
Item 12, application for a restaurant retail liquor license by Pie R Square LLC, doing business as Mellow Mushroom, 79 Commerce Street.
Oh, that's Representative Mellow Mushroom.
Jim.
Your name for the record, please.
Alice McCullum.
Mark Hill.
Mark. This is a public hearing. Anyone would like to speak against this item, please come forward. Seeing none, declare the public hearing has been held. It's part of the council.
Move to suspend the rules.
Have a motion to suspend the rules. All in favor, raise your hand.
Unanimous.
Move to adopt.
All in favor, raise your hand.
Unanimous. Resolution is adopted.
Good luck with business and welcome
Thank you.
downtown.
Thank you very much.
Do we have an expected date?
Opening date.
What was it?
December, end of December, 1st of January.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Item 13, application for a special retail more than 30 days liquor license by Turner Food Systems LLC, doing business as Turner Food Systems, 220 Hall Street.
This is the Metroplex.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Your name for the record, please.
Donna Turner.
Okay, Ms. Turner.
Matthew Kendra.
Matthew. This is a public hearing, and I'd like to speak against this item. Please come forward. Seeing none, declare the public hearing's been held. It's proper for the council. Need a motion?
Move to suspend the rules.
All in favor, raise your hand.
Unanimous.
Move to adopt.
All in favor, raise your hand.
Unanimous. Resolution is adopted.
May your events be very large there.
Yes, thank you very
Good
much.
luck to you.
Thank you.
Item 14, application for a special events retail liquor license by BB Bartending LLC, doing business as B&B Bartending Funksgiving 2015, 300 Water Street, Train Shed.
Your name for the record, sir?
Bobby Greenawalt.
Bobby. This is a public hearing. Anyone would like to speak against this, please come forward. Seeing none, declare the public hearing's been held.
Mr. President, I have a
Yes.
question.
Yes, sir.
What's the Funksgiving? What kind of event is this?
It is a concert benefiting the Parkinson's Association of Central Alabama.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Need a motion?
Move to suspend the rules.
All in favor, raise your hand.
Unanimous.
Move to adopt.
All in favor, raise your hand.
Unanimous. Resolution is adopted.
Good luck with the event.
Thank you.
Item 15, application for a special events retail liquor license by Downtown Q LLC, doing business as Dreamland Barbecue Firefighter Combat Challenge at 300 Water Street.
Representative of Dreamland, please.
Oh, no.
Oh.
Bob Parker.
Bob Barker.
Your name for the record.
Bob Parker.
Mr. Parker, this is a public hearing. Anyone would like to speak against this item, please come forward. That's enough. I'm joking, folks, but this is a big event for Montgomery. This is the World Championship for the firefighters, and it's big. It's the thing was in Las Vegas a couple years ago, so this is huge for Montgomery. So, anyone like to speak against it now? I declare the public hearing has been held. It's probably before the council. Need a motion.
Move to suspend the rules.
Have a motion to suspend the rules. All in favor, raise your hand.
Unanimous.
Move to adopt.
All in favor, raise your hand.
Unanimous. Resolution is adopted.
I hope it's so big you got a hard time handling it, but that's.
We'll take care of it. Thank you.
I know you will. Thank
Yes, sir.
Mr. President,
Yes.
I forgot to mention this. Dawn Hathcock and Chief Jordan approached Pete Durchis, who's with ESPN, does the Community Bowl,
Yeah.
about the possibility of televising this. And they are, in fact, going to televise some of this on a delayed basis. But on Saturday, there's a possibility that it might have an hour or so at the finals to be on ESPN. I think either U or 3 or something like that.
That'd
So
be wonderful.
it is big.
It's a
It is
big event. So we're lucky. Good job, fire department. Again. Okay.
Item 16, application for a nonprofit tax-exempt liquor license by Montgomery Habitat for Humanity, doing business as Habitat for Humanity Upscale Resale, 44 Market Plaza.
Your name, sir?
Nick Milkey.
And you with Habitat?
Yes, sir. Executive Director of Montgomery Habitat.
And this is going to be a fundraiser for
Yes,
y'all?
sir.
Very good. This is a public hearing. Anyone like to speak against this? Seeing none, declare the public hearing's been held. It's proper for the council. Need a motion?
Mr. President,
Yes, sir.
I'm embarrassed that so many great things are happening in District 3.
I know it. You're doing such a good job.
But I move to suspend the rules.
Have a motion to suspend the rules. All in favor, raise your hand.
Unanimous.
Move to adopt.
All in favor, raise your hand.
Unanimous. Resolution is adopted.
Good luck with the event.
Thank you so much.
Item 17, application for retail beer and retail table wine on or off premises by UC East Chase LLC, doing business as Urban Cookhouse, 7712 East Chase Parkway.
Representative Urban Cookhouse. Your name, sir?
Will Gillespie.
Will? This is a public hearing. Anyone like to speak against this, please come forward. Seeing none, I declare the public hearing's been held. It's proper for the council.
Move to suspend the rules.
All in favor, raise your hand.
Unanimous.
Move to adopt.
All in favor, raise your hand.
Unanimous. Resolution is adopted.
What's the Urban Cookhouse?
It's a restaurant. We have some locations in Birmingham now, but it's a fast casual restaurant that serves family atmosphere and great food. So,
Okay, good. Well, good luck with your business.
thank you. We'll be open in a week.
Okay, thank you. Very good, thank you.
Item 18, application for retail beer and retail table wine on or off premises by Rock Bottom Inc., doing business as Harley Davidson, 655 Northeastern Boulevard.
Your name, sir?
Brad Gill.
Oh, Brad. This is a public hearing. Anyone like to speak against this item, please come forward. Seeing none, declare the public hearing has been held. Proper before the council.
Mr. President,
Yes, sir?
do we need to put into the minutes the agreement that we have come up with?
That'll be, well, the mayor knows that, so he knows the program.
Is it okay?
Yeah, you just go ahead and
Okay.
move your suspend the rules.
Move to suspend the rules.
All in favor, raise your hand.
Unanimous.
Move to adopt.
All in favor, raise your hand.
Unanimous.
Good luck with you,
Resolution is
sir.
adopted.
Thank you very much.
Yes, sir.
Item 19, application for a nonprofit tax-exempt liquor license by Felicity of Montgomery, Inc., doing business as The Sanctuary at 432 South Goldthwaite Street.
Representative of the sanctuary, please. Yes, sir, your name?
John Veras.
John?
Joe Birdwell.
Joe. Excuse me, I'm choking up here. This is a public hearing. Anyone like to speak against this item, please come forward. Seeing none, declare the public hearing has been held. Proper before the council. Need a motion?
Move to suspend the rules.
You again?
Again.
All in favor, raise your hand.
Unanimous.
Move for adoption.
All in favor, raise your hand.
Unanimous. Resolution is adopted.
Good luck with the event. That's great.
you.
Up to 5 points. That's wonderful.
Item 20, application for a nonprofit tax-exempt liquor license by Montgomery Riverfront Development Foundation, doing business as Harvest Table at 485 Moulton Street, Urban Farm.
Thanks.
Scott Miller.
Catherine Doe.
Okay, this is a public hearing. Anyone like to speak against this item, please come forward. Seeing none, declare the public hearing has been held. Proper before the council. Need a motion?
Move to suspend the rules.
All in favor, raise your hand.
Unanimous.
Take the rules back.
Move to adopt.
All in favor, raise your hand.
Unanimous. Resolution is adopted.
Good luck with this. This is great.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you.
Item
Another thing in
21.
District 3.
Item 21, resolution designating nuisance abatement agent.
Need a motion?
Move to suspend the rules.
The rest of the agenda.
Rest of the agenda.
All in favor, raise your hand.
Unanimous.
Move to adopt.
All in favor, raise your hand.
Unanimous. Resolution is adopted. 22, resolution declaring, authorizing, and assessing cost of abatement of public nuisances on various lots.
Move to adopt.
All in favor, raise your hand.
Unanimous. Resolution is adopted. 23, Rosa McCall, Montgomery Transportation Coalition, to address council.
Ms. McCall?
Good afternoon, gentlemen.
Good afternoon.
First, let me say there are two ways to put a smile on someone's face, either by entering a room or by leaving it. And I'm sure the mayor will be happy to have a smile on his face as we all exit and go home, won't you, Mayor? I am here on behalf of the Montgomery Transportation Coalition, first to express my thanks to you for replacing so many of the buses and the bus sheds. But it's also imperative that we finish those replacements. Today, while I was sitting waiting to come in, I saw one old bus go up the street. It was probably Route 2, since that bus does have 2 runs on it. With that said, there are a couple of issues that the Transportation Coalition would like to address. We do want those old buses taken out of service. After all, this is the birthplace of the civil rights movement, the place that started the bus boycott. This is the place that everyone, when they come on the 60th anniversary of the Montgomery bus boycott, should not see old buses running around the city of Montgomery. Second, the timeliness of routes is still an issue. However, we believe that much of this is due to single buses on extremely long routes. For example, Route 1 is 90 minutes one way. You're talking about someone spending up to 2 hours waiting on a bus if they get off ahead of the curve when the bus has already gone through. Route 2 and a couple of other routes have 2 buses on them that really need 3. And hopefully in time, once the city has enough funding, they'll be able to put 3 buses on those routes. For those routes that have 1 bus, like Route 16, which runs the Eastern Boulevard and down Carmichael, it's also 90 minutes, but it only has 1 bus run. That one could also use 2 buses. With the new Veterans Outpatient Clinic that just opened up, there is a possibility of not having shuttle service running to that clinic. The nearest bus goes to East Chase and stops in that circle and turns and heads back out. Veterans cannot walk 6 miles to that particular location. I know it's 6 miles because I timed it the other day when I drove out to the movie theater with my kids. There is also a 7-mile drop between where the bus stops at South Lawn and you get to go out to Hyundai. If someone is interested in having a job out at Hyundai, it would be wonderful if we had a shuttle service or a cross connector, meaning a bus would drop you off at South Lawn, you'd pick up the cross connector and go out to those 2 companies, Coca-Cola and Hyundai, to work and then turn around and come back once your shift is over with. I was so happy to hear someone else talk about the need for improved transportation in this city when Natalie came up. It is vital, if Montgomery is to thrive and grow as the mayor says it will, to have a competent, efficient, working bus service. To Mr. Dow, to Mr. Calhoun, to Mr. Jenwright, your service has indeed been commendable to the city of Montgomery, and we wish you well in the future. We only hope that those who fill your seats will do as well. Thank you.
I'm not leaving.
Is there a question on the floor? Is there a question?
No.
We were just saying that Mr. Smith is leaving.
Yes, Mr. Smith.
Charles Smith is leaving. Charles Jenwright is staying.
I'm sorry.
Well,
Mr. Smith. Oh,
you know, I've been here.
you're not going anywhere, right? Okay, all right. Sorry, Mr. Smith.
You got the hair mixed up, Rose.
Charlie's not leaving until they tear the building down.
Okay. All right, next thing.
Mr. President,
No 24 is
Mr. President.
Yes, sir.
If I may, I'd like to respond to some of those, obviously.
Okay.
First of all, we extended the existing contract 1 year as opposed to entering into a 3-year contract. During that year, we will have an independent third-party consultant evaluate the bus system, routing, things of that nature, which would be incorporated into an RFP that we will put out working towards a September of 17 year expiration. And that would be included in the RFPs that would be sending out for proposals to come back in. We have approved and funded 6 new buses that should be here within the next 60 or 90 days. There are additional grants that we will be applying for that will get some additional buses. This is on top of the other 10 or 12 that we got within the last year. Relative to the VA hospital, the out clinic, based on letters that we wrote when the requests for proposals were written, it would be about $250,000 of additional expense to get a bus route to the VA hospital, and the contract was awarded with that knowledge, and it is supposed to be included in the private contractor's contract that they do have to fund that. We're waiting to hear from that private contractor relative to that. The Hyundai Coca-Cola is certainly an issue, and that will be put into the equation as we ask for proposals on coming back. So that's kind of the near-term game plan as regards the existing bus service.
Very good. Thank you. Okay, Madam Clerk. Next item.
And I assume 24 is now moot.
It's mute, yeah.
Okay. I have before you the request for contingency funds. District 2, $1,000 to Public Safety Insurance Fund, $400 to Wares Ferry Elementary School. For District 4, $1,500 to Bellingrath Middle School, $1,000 to Smiley Court Neighborhood Association, $3,000 to Carver Senior High School, $1,000 to Helping Hands Outreach, $5,000 to Connecting Life Church Body of Christ, and $1,200 to ACT ADC, and $1,000 to Sydney Lanier Girls Basketball. For District 5, $1,000 to Macoa, $100 to Sutton Place Neighborhood Association, $500 to Young Farm Neighborhood Association, $500 to Young Place Neighborhood Association, $1,000 to Goodwin Community Center, Girls Basketball, $1,000 to Glad Lane Neighborhood Association, $1,500 to Lanier High School for band, $1,000 to Seth Johnson Neighborhood Association, $1,000 to Green Acres Neighborhood Association, $1,000 to ACTS CDC, $1,000 to Seth Johnson Elementary, $500 to Danley Elementary, $500 to Vaughn Road Elementary, $2,000 to Lifetime Resolutions, $1,000 to McKee Middle School Pre-K, $1,500 to Lanier High School. District 6, $750 to Macedonia Neighborhood Association, $750 to Regency Park Neighborhood Association, $750 to Spring Valley Neighborhood Association, $750 to Belle Meade Neighborhood Association, $750 to Willie Cook Senior Citizens Program, $1,000 to Willie Cook Community Center, $1,000 to Echo, $1,000 to Have a Heart for Children, $2,500 to Lifetime Resolution, $2,750 to Monterey Hunters Point Neighborhood Association, $300 to Woodley Park Neighborhood Association, $300 to Moss Pine Forest Neighborhood Association, $300 to Fitzpatrick Elementary, $300 to Peter Crump Elementary, $500 to Skip, $300 to Brubaker Middle School, $300 to McKee Middle School. District 7, $250 to Military Order of the Purple Heart, $1,000 to Lifetime Resolutions, $1,000 to Cloverdale Playhouse, $250 to Montgomery County Distinguished Young Women. District 9, $1,000 to Macoa, $250 to Military Order of the Purple Heart, $250 to Distinguished Young Women, $250 to Veterans Coming Home at WVAS, $7,000 to Tuckabashie Area Boy Scouts Explorer Gang Program.
I need to modify that 7 to 8,500.
Change that, 7,000 to 8,500.
Mr. President?
Yes, sir.
District 5 needs a modification on the 100 to Sutton Place. That
I can't hear you, Mr. Calhoun.
The 100 to Sutton Place, that should have been $1,000 to Sutton Place Neighborhood Association.
Should be 1,000.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
And one more, District 4, $700 to Lifetime Resolution.
700
Yes.
to Lifetime Resolution.
Mr. President, District 7, I think I have 500 more to Macoa, please.
500 to Macoa.
Yes, ma'am.
Madam Clerk, District 1, $1,000 to Macoa.
Is that it?
No, ma'am. $500 to the Clean City Commission.
Anybody else?
500 to Clean City Commission?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
I got one more, Mr. President.
Yes.
$500 to Echo Organization. Ida Harris.
Okay.
And one more, from District 2, 1,000 to McCall.
That's it.
Is that okay, Mr. Mayor?
Move for approval.
Have motion approved. All in favor, raise your hand.
Unanimous.
Okay. Okay. On our public communication roster for non-agenda items, Albert Dotson. Albert Dotson. I think we already got that one.